It's time for another edition of Down the Rabbit Hole, where the staff of My Burbank Talks discusses topics from Burbank's past or dives deep into the history of the city. Now let's see what's on the agenda today as we join our show.
Hello, Burbank. Craig Sherwood here, along with, of course, my stealthy partner, Ross Benson.
I see my tally light off, and here we go. It is another day, another week. Tally-ho, and deep in the media district we are.
We are going down the rabbit hole again.
Boy, oh boy, that rabbit hole. Rabbit hole? Rabbit hole.
Or maybe I should say,
down the rabbit hole.
Well, we have a heck of part two.
Our first show was very well. In fact, it was the most viewed show in all of our podcasts.
How do you like that?
I'm not sure why people decided it was worth doing, but I'm sure glad they did. And so we're back with part two now. Last time we did this, a couple things happened. Number one was we only got halfway through, which we thought we'd get all the way through it, and we got halfway through, so we needed a part two. And then we found out later, hey, we missed a lot of places.
Wow, did we miss a lot of places. I've been in Burbank now coming up on 68 years, and I cannot believe, I feel like that sheet that I first did, it had like 67 places. We added 45 more places that come and gone.
Yeah, it's amazing. In fact, so there will be a part three, and part three is going to be the restaurants we missed. So
see, that rabbit hole is just getting bigger and longer here in the town of Burbank.
Deeper and deeper, right?
But you said, we had a great response to the first. I think because a lot of Burbank people are longtime residents and remember their favorite place at the corner of the block or half across the town.
Yeah.
And that's why when we do this, it brings back great memories, great food. I can smell the grease in some of these places.
Well, let's get back. We're going to start off with the L's. The L's.
Not elves, L's.
Yeah, not the elves, the L's. And the first place I have on the list here is called La Scala.
La Scala. 3800 block of West Riverside Drive. It's underneath what used to be the Disney building. It was part of that, next to where FedEx was. And now there's another restaurant down there. But La Scala, I learned of La Scala. They're in Beverly Hills. And La Scala is now pretty famous in Beverly Hills. They have a salad that I make 3 times a week now.
Right.
But La Scala.
Yeah, right in the corner of San Fernando, Screenland and Riverside.
That's right.
But I think they didn't have a lot of parking there. That's always been the problem with that place. There's not a lot of parking. So
well, you can park inside the Disney building, and a lot of people didn't know that.
Yeah, well, especially now because I don't think any more Disney people are in that building.
Nope.
So they've got 3,000 restaurants on Riverside Drive, and nobody in those buildings to go use to see them.
That's the problem.
It is. Okay, so moving on, London Broilers. Now, London Broilers, I remember that place, huh?
What was it next to?
Pick and Save.
There you go, with a big parking lot. And you remember when the Daily Review, or the leader, was in Nahas,
right
across from that parking lot. I remember walking to London Broilers with Gary Mariano all the time. Good sandwiches, good food in London Broilers. Good place.
Yeah.
Had a great bar. And
we're going up to another rabbit hole down the line of the stores like Pick and Save that we lost.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those.
Oh, there are stories up there.
Yep. So, yep. London Broiler. And I think they had a double-decker bus in the parking lot all the time, didn't they?
Yep.
They probably got from London or something.
I think that was used. They drove it in parades and other things. It was, yeah. Good old London Broilers. What's that song? London Bridge is falling down. Forget it.
Well, now you have to go to Lake Havasu to see London Bridge.
Oh, okay.
It's no longer in England. It's in California now.
Oh.
Wait, Lake Havasu's in California, correct? Yeah. I've actually seen it and driven over it.
Wow.
It's a bridge. Let's move on. The next one, it has a little asterisk for it. Our next one is Marie Callender's, but we have listed 2 here, but it's really one because there was really one in Burbank, And the other one getting honorable mention with us was in Toluca Lake.
And how far out of Burbank was the one in Toluca Lake?
I could throw a baseball from Burbank and hit it in Toluca Lake. It was at Mariota and Arcola. It wasn't Arcola?
Yeah, one of those.
Arcola and Riverside, right
Which
across
is
from
now a
Patty's.
Chase Bank.
Yes, that we needed a Chase Bank, didn't we?
Yeah, right. But talk about Marie Callender's for a second. Their burgers and that salad bar, and
The salad bar alone, the salad bar was outstanding.
Yes.
It had great. I always had fresh croutons.
and you could go back as much as you
Yes.
want. And our good friend Stan Lynch loved the waitresses
Oh, yes, he did.
at all those restaurants, but he would love that Monte Cristo.
Yes.
You know, the ham and cheese dipped, in French toast batter or whatever, dip it in. Oh my! But I remember the secret when the waitresses, and if you remember the waitresses at both, they were owned by the same guys,
Right.
Ray and so forth. When they would write down the order, I learned that I loved the CBO dry.
Oh.
CBO dry, the code for it was cheeseburger, onions, no dressing.
Oh, okay.
So I'd say to the waitress, I'd like a CBO dry, and they'd look at me like, how do you know that?
How do you know that? How do you know that? Because we went in there. You were there. I remember we used to go there after we cover football games
That's right.
and go in there on Friday nights because there'd always be a crowded Bob's and nobody would go down the street to Marie Callender's and
And it was funny. I had a good friend that was a manager over there, and he had me help him once for their Thanksgiving Christmas pie order. You know what I learned? How they make their pecan pies back then? They would put the pecans in, and you know how they got them to rise? They take their finger and go like this in the batter.
really.
30 years ago, you could do that. Nowadays, you can't do that.
Well,
But that's how they made 'em rise.
With a glove on, you can.
Yep, that was
That was Bill, wasn't it? His name was Bill, right?
Bill
He was the
Davis.
manager there,
Bill Davis. Yeah.
and he always took care of us too.
Oh, he did. He loved he just loved when we came in because we always came in that last hour, and he'd still get us helped out. And
Yep.
good old Marie Callender. See, and people will remember.
Well, it's funny. We're not even talking about the pies. And the pies were outstanding.
Yeah.
And they picked them right there on the premises.
Well, they had some
Always
other
fresh.
They had chicken pot pie too,
Yes.
and they still. Last week I bought one at somewhere in the box, but back then.
I don't know if there's any Marie Callender's left. I know there was one in Glendale that had actually a full bar in it too.
Right.
Pacific and Glen Oaks, right in that area
Right,
by the
yeah.
134. I don't know if it's still. I don't think it's still there anymore. But I
I
don't.
think there's a restaurant there, but not a Marie Callender's.
I don't think Marie Callender's is.
Oh, somebody told me somebody recently saw one out in the East San Gabriel Valley. But what about their cornbread
That's right. That's right. I forgot all about that.
with hot
Oh.
honey? Oh, and butter, the apple butter.
Yes. And once again, that was made right there on the premises.
Sure
and
was. See what this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Do you not get the taste of that cornbread right now?
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm tempted to go home and I buy Marie Callender's off the shelf now. You can make it at home. Never the same because I know they put a little sugar here and there.
Yeah.
But boy,
I'm trying to remember. No, the one up on the hill that was on San
San
Fernando.
Fernando, we're across from Ralph's. Now there's a McDonald's and
Okay, that's
kinda
right.
near the
Yeah.
Cornell Theater. Now there's another
Yeah.
rabbit hole that we can get to.
Yeah, there it sure is. Yeah. So that one closed first, and
Right. Had big windows. You sit out front. It was a great place.
yeah, Marie Callender's. Waitresses are always nice people too.
Always hired the high school kids, the cute girls. I remember that was one of their things. Nowadays you can't do that.
And that's why Stan wanted to go there all the time.
Those were the nights that he couldn't get into the car hop service at Bob's and bug the girls for, what was it, an iced tea with 12 sugars?
Yes.
Good old Stan.
Okay,
Rest
well-
in peace.
Let's move on here to Market City Cafe.
Oh, what a salad bar there too.
Yeah, I was actually surprised when they went out of business. I don't know if that was part of a chain or just a single place, but
No, that was a chain, and he was closing that one down, and he had one in Glendale or another Eastern Valley. But do you remember the cow that they had?
yeah. I wonder. They had business there because it's right by the MCs and everything. It was on San Fernando Road, right by Palm.
Yep.
And it's
It was right on the corner. And do you remember the hot rolls
yes.
with the salad bar? And oh man, another good. You don't get a great. Where in the city can you have a great salad bar? And that was one that had a lot of choices. the cold plates down in the out front when you walked in, and yeah.
Yep. Okay, well, let's move on here. Well, here's what it didn't last long. Didn't last long at all. But it made our list, of course, and that was Milano's.
Now, do you remember how many calls did you take from Mike?
Well, he must have called here every hour on the hour, and he knew nothing about the restaurant business or about the store business or anything else. And we tried to help him. We set up advertising for him. We did a lot for him, trying to help him out. But it came down to the same problem that's always that location.
That location, yeah.
And it was on Palm, just below 3rd Street, right between the parking structure and 3rd Street. And the problem being is that, yeah, they have a parking structure, but it was not convenient to park anywhere and go in there. And he really thought that he was going to get all the business from the condos above.
Right, and those are senior, older people that live in that. But also, Cartoon Network was across the street.
Right.
And he tried to open during COVID, if you remember, and that office building was empty.
Yeah, I think he was in his 70s or something, and he was retired and trying to do this for his wife. His wife got ill or something, and then all of a sudden he closed one day, and
there was a sign on the door, out ill or whatever. I just saw there is a new place coming soon into that place. Hopefully, it'll be doing better than Milano's did.
Yeah, and we enjoyed Milano's. I was just trying to think. It was before Milano's. It was something else.
Bavarian, something.
Yeah, it was yeah.
Yeah, there were two of them.
Oh, we missed that on our list, didn't we?
Well, we'll have to put that in show 3.
Be in show 3. Another reason you have to listen. And you know what? If you're out there and you remember what was there, send us an email. Let us know. Tell us what we're missing, because
that was another one that we had done advertising for, and I remember something with a P. And I remember I still have gift certificates that they traded for advertising.
Well,
somebody told me they're at the farmer's market down on 3rd now,
okay.
not in Burbank.
I was going to say, those in a rock gives you something heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a terrible joke. Doesn't even deserve a...
Mike, it was nice working with you. It's unfortunate that with a list of all these other restaurants, you're on that list of come and gone.
Yep. Let's move on. I'm looking at our. Okay. Next up is somewhere that we Moe's.
Moe's.
That was at the former International House of Pancakes.
IHOP.
And and when he kind of fixed it up a little bit, but he always left the V of the structure of the IHOP at the front door. That was always there. He never moved that. You could always see always look at that and picture the old IHOP that used to be there.
Yeah.
And he was there probably, now he was actually there after Hamptons.
I was going to say, what about Hamptons or
and I think,
Newman? Wasn't the actor Newman owned one of those?
I thought he owned Hamptons or something.
Yeah.
And I don't, we have Hamptons. We talked about Hamptons in the last show. But
go back to Moe's for a second. Do you remember those burgers? They had, a dozen, 2 dozen custom burgers?
And then they had a burger bar.
Yep.
And you take your burger up there and then put all kinds of stuff onto it and everything else. Had a great bar in there too. And
people following this show don't think that we like food or anything.
No.
We could tell you exactly what was on some of these salad bars.
I can tell you what was on all these burgers too. So they had a good burger. I didn't go there a lot because I thought it was a little pricey even back then. And to me, a good burger, you can get a good burger for a cheaper price at times.
Now, $19, $20, $30 for a burger.
Absolutely ridiculous.
But moving on.
So and actually Moe's did finally leave, and he actually owned the restaurant by the Toluca Lake Tennis Center also. And I think he might still own that too. I don't know, still run that.
The guy that Ramsey Schilling, his son, has that restaurant on Riverside, because you remember they advertised with us.
Oh, that's right.
Can't think of the name of it, but I see it in TV shows right now, and maybe we should go knock on their door and see if they want to advertise.
Oh, we'd like that. Moving on next is one of the things that we've lost a lot of here in Burbank. We just don't have many anymore, and that's a deli. That was Moore's Deli. That was located right across from the Hoopscow.
Moore's Deli, yeah. You're right. Where can you get a pastrami sandwich back in the day?
No. Where could you get out of jail and
Well,
go
this
get a
is
pastrami sandwich back in the day? You'd get out of jail,
Great Bar Motel.
walk across the street on 3rd Street there, and there you go, Moore's Deli.
But, the food, and they had that room. How many people remember that room in the back? All those writers and animators would come down from Cartoon Network, and they started drawing on the walls, and the guy would supply pens and ink and Sharpies, and it became famous.
Yeah. I've heard that the old Cartoon Network building now is actually where they had a lot of drawings done. They've had to take a lot of that out, but they've tried to save some of those on the staircases.
Good old SpongeBob, not SpongeBob, up the cartoon, I forget who it was, but some of it was, copyrighted. So they had to paint that. But I hear there were rooms or stairwells that the employees didn't put up copyrighted stuff, and they're still there.
Yeah.
What a treat.
That has become Hollywood Production Studios now, so they've moved in there. But Moore's Deli, that was, like I said, not a lot of good. I know you're a big deli fan.
Oh, I love pastrami sandwiches, corned beef on rye, and it was, and what was good is not only the pastrami on rye, but a darn good dill pickle with it.
Yes.
Got to have or good coleslaw. I know you're a coleslaw fan.
I love good coleslaw.
And they had good potato salad with it. Yep. Too bad Moore's booked out of town.
Well, let's go back to another burger place now. And Mr. Biggs.
Oh,
Mr.
wow.
Big Burgers.
Anybody been in Burbank a couple of years remembers Mr. Big Burgers.
That's right there. It was on the corner of, I want to say, East and San Fernando.
That's correct.
And pretty much an iconic place.
Oh, everybody. For Burbank High, that was the place to go. You didn't have Tommy's. You didn't have all these other places, McDonald's or any of those. It was Mr. Big Burgers. But the taste in that burger, Mr. Big Burger, that is one thing I find. You go to a place like Mr. Big Burgers, like Clint's. It had a definite taste.
A unique taste. A very unique taste.
Exactly. Mr. Big Burgers and their onion rings were the huge onion rings and their malts and all. That's the thing people remember is, I guarantee you ask somebody, Gary Brick's been here longer than us, and I could bet you he could say Mr. Big Burgers was one of his favorite places.
Yeah.
And he made a good burger.
Yes, he did. Absolutely. And he knew that you not only toast both sides of the bun, but you don't put the meat against the bun on the bottom, and that's what keeps it crispy.
See, we learned that. Thank you very much, Mr. Brick.
So let's move on here. Now we're moving on to here's a Orange Julius.
Wow.
Remember Orange Julius? There are a couple locations here in Burbank.
There's a couple of places. Oh, Corner Cottage still has one of those machines that make the whipped orange.
Okay.
You remember that?
Yeah.
You can make them at home now.
Well, we used to go to, now the Orange Julius we're talking about, the one first one comes to my mind, it was right across from NBC. I think it's called the Commissary now, right next to where A&O Liquor was.
Tiny place.
And it you can still, if you picture the structure, it was an Orange Julius at one time.
Right.
And we used to go there all the time, back in the Stevenson days. We used to ride our bike down from Stevenson down California. And,
what was that ice cream that is kind of like an Orange Julius? What are they called?
50-50 bar.
And they're exact.
Yep.
And I just saw somebody the other day, I forget on what TV show, they were trying to duplicate, that taste of Orange Julius. All it was I think, orange carbonated water and some whipped cream.
But I remember back in the day, we all figured out that the cool way to do it was to put a raw egg into it.
Oh.
They used to put a raw, orange juice with a raw egg. Now back then, we were all brave and everything else. You remember the Rocky film too, using 4 or 5 eggs and just do them straight. But we used to put a raw egg into our Orange Julius, and it was a great taste. But boy, now you look at the Salamilla.
There were a couple of Orange Julius, and then they had the pineapple, I think, and there were just 2 or 3.
That's it.
flavors.
Then the other one, of course, is where Yakky's
Yakky's.
is now, over on Alameda and
Maine.
And that was an Orange Julius for a long, long time.
That's right.
It's been a Yakky's for a long, long time, too.
Yeah, but you know, again, this rabbit hole, think of Orange Julius. You know, these young kids, they have no clue.
Well, don't they have Orange Julius now in the in some of the malls?
Oh, really? I don't know. I don't go to malls too much.
I think they do. I'm not sure, but I think they do.
You just, again, you're making me want an Orange Julius right now so bad.
Oh, well, the 50-50 bar.
It'll do.
You know, amazing. Well, moving on here. Now, I don't remember this place. I saw you put it on the list here, and I'm a little perplexed by it. Called Pages.
Pages was, I found out, Lancers was originally called Pages.
See, I don't remember that.
Yep. Many years ago when it first opened, it was called Pages.
Do you have any idea when it changed to Lancers?
No, but I will do some research.
Of course, you know.
I guarantee Don Ball.
If you're actually watching this video, hopefully by the time that I get to the editing part, I'll be able to pull some information up and throw it in the screen.
We can always call our historian, old man Burbank, Don Baldessaroni, who grew up here when the dirt was delayed.
Yes.
And he could probably tell us when Pages was there.
That's funny. I didn't know that was ever called Pages.
Yep. And no relation to the baseball player, Pages, who was played today.
Who played for the Dodgers.
But he was
Major League debut today.
But his name was not Pages.
Pages.
Pages
or something. Yeah, I don't get, you know. All I know is he got in the Dodgers won tonight.
Yes, he did.
So now you know when we're recording this show. So, let's move on. Oh, here's one that's a long-time Burbank restaurant that, you know, Piero's.
Not a lot of people went to Piero's. It was a fantastic fish house.
Yeah, it was never busy.
If I recall, the owner's daughter went to chef school, and the owner wanted, opened up a restaurant for her. It was there at Niagara, I think, next to Dick Clark.
Yeah.
Lock up from Dick Clark. Naomi, Florence, one of those.
It's now it's a Mexican restaurant there.
But it was also after Piero's.
It was
Michael's, which had the best.
In fact, we don't have we don't have Michael's on our list, do we?
Yeah, it's somewhere.
Do we have it on? Okay.
Oh,
I think we
might be on our latest list.
Okay, it might be on the list we're going to talk about later. So let's go back.
Where can you get jambalaya? That's the sad thing. There's no more Michael's. And you remember the head chef at Michael's also there was a little tiny Orange Julius stand on the San Fernando Road. I think just very small. It was near one of the walkways. And Michael's, a famous chef, apparently robbed or was involved in some robberies, and they arrested him. And he fought it, and then that's when he became the chef after Piero's, when that was Michael's. And that was owned by I think one of the baseball coaches at Burroughs or football coaches' sons. But Craig Durling and I used to go in there, their etouffee, and their jambalaya, and oh my gosh.
Well, back to Piero's.
Yeah.
Did you ever stop at Piero's and eat?
Those were my youngin' days, and I remember my parents. I wasn't a big fish fan. You had to pull bones out of it.
It's funny. You and I both weren't fish fans, but we both love fish now.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, it took too much time to pull the bones out, and I remember taking a bite of some fishing when I was young, and what is this? And this takes too long. Forget it.
Yeah, well, to me, that's the entire story of sunflower seeds. And being a baseball guy, every player used to have stuff. Here, coach, you want some sunflower? Yeah, you want some seeds? You want some seeds? No. Why? I go, because it's too much work for too little food. By the time I get the shot, there's nothing hardly to eat, and so to me, it just wasn't worth all the trouble. I want to take a bite out of something.
And then after Michael's, it was something else, and they had a great karaoke bar, karaoke night. And I remember friends from high school used to go there like every week for karaoke.
Now, so we can't remember the name of that.
I'll think of it.
Or you will, or one of our listeners will, and email us. Please, people, please, email us if we've forgotten something or we're missing something, because we really want to go over everything. Give everybody their fair.
Get involved in our show.
Fair look here. Okay, so moving on from. Where is my list here? Okay. Oh, we're on another page here, aren't we? So after that, we go to was a staple in Burbank, and to this day, I don't know why the franchise, what happened. I'm sure there's a reason, but Pioneer Chicken.
Yep. Not a lot of people were, if you remember, next to Save On Drugstore, Save On Drugstores.
Boom, boom.
Pioneer Chicken was there. There was one uptown.
Yep.
Yep. In fact, I knew a couple of people that worked there.
Yeah, the one on San Fernando. It was right next to
Zodi's or Ralph's.
Ralph's. Yes.
Yep. What is that? That's not Delaware. That's one north of Delaware.
Yeah.
Bethany?
That's your neighborhood now.
It is. I should know
those things.
Hi, Dodger. Yeah, I should. But you know what? Did have good chicken. I have stories that.
Oh yeah,
the one down next to now CVS, but Save On Drugstore. Debbie Mobley, good friend of ours, years ago. She worked there. Or, I don't know which husband, but her and Paul met there, and I remember taking breaks from Save On Drugstore. I worked at Save On, go in there and get their 2-piece sandwich for $2 or something.
Well, our next one here is going to bring back a lot of memories for our Burroughs crowd, especially. Besides being a great pizza place, but it was a place that it was one of two places back then that you could get some food and get back to school on time during your lunch pass, and that was called Pizza Pie.
Good. How big was that place? I think this studio is bigger.
Yes, it was absolutely tiny. It's on the corner of Reese and Magnolia, and it was just a tiny little white building. I remember.
Yep. Windows on 3 sides, a door in the back. I still don't know how they could throw the pizzas in the air there, but at lunch, if you went to Burroughs,
he had pizzas ready to go too. You know, you could always get 1 or 2 slices.
Yep, and he had enough to cover the lunch bunch for Burroughs, and then when they closed, they moved over on Alameda, where Winston Tire was, which was a market.
Alpha Beta, I believe.
Alpha Beta, yeah. After they closed, Winston Tire took over that parking lot. One of the little tiny holes in the wall there's a barber shop and some other stuff, was Pizza Pie.
Well, I remember Pizza Pie, the one with Magnolia and Reese, was absolutely phenomenal. And that's back in the 70s, back in the day. Let's move on here. So another iconic place that once again at Burroughs, you could it would be pushing the envelope to walk there and walk back to Burroughs, but you could make it, and that was Pup and Taco.
Pup and Taco. How do you Pup and Taco? It was like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. You're done.
It was
Was it the taco or the burrito or the combo that was I don't know what was in
it was a pup, and I'm sure the pup wasn't a all beef either,
But you remember there was also a Pup and Taco
up on Glen Oaks,
across from Foster Freeze,
at Angelino.
Yep,
which
is now a Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, okay.
It was a Chinese place, a drive-through Chinese place.
That's right.
Now, boy, these places how they rotate. Now it's a Dunkin' Donuts.
Pup and Taco. Oh my goodness! I mean that. Yeah, now it's then Taco Bell took over there.
That's right.
And it still is a Taco Bell.
Yep, they remodeled it and drive-through, and I've used it many a times.
Yep. Okay, after Pup and Taco, we go to a place that wasn't here too long. It was here probably maybe 7 or 8 years, maybe at the most. And at the corner of Riverside Drive and Maple.
What was the name of the place?
It was called Red Maple. Red Maple. And they have now since left Burbank. They wanted a bigger location, and they moved over to right across from
Trader Joe's.
Trader Joe's on Riverside Drive in Toluca Lake now.
Much bigger place.
Brian,
who owns it, is a great guy. I see him every so on. He's on the board of Toluca Lake Chamber now. But do you remember when Red Maple, I remember we did their opening, that used to be a shoe repair place.
Yes.
I remember my dad taking me there.
I think it was Victor's Shoe Repair, wasn't it? Or
was it Victor's?
No, it wasn't Victor's. It was... I remember back in the day we used to go to Lucky's. That was in the corner of Alameda, and they had all those shops in the parking lot of Lucky's there across the alley.
Yep.
And they were facing toward the parking lot, and they were businesses that weren't facing toward Riverside, but they were facing toward Yeah, and one of those was a shoe repair place.
Shoe
right
repair
there.
place, and I remember my dad always getting his shoes worked on there. But then when Brian took it over, him and his partner, to make it red maple, they converted that whole place. The power in that place was the old knob and tube. I remember him showing me the fuses and everything that they changed. And then it became, on the corner, there's a sushi place now or a poke place. But he moved down, like you said, to Mariota or across from Trader Joe's.
Nice place.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Great food. Do you remember? They had, and then didn't they make that custom if you got coffee or
Yeah, if they put a picture of something on there for you or something, or some.
that was a new trend back then, and boy,
I was never
a rabbit hole.
Never been a cappuccino guy, but
Yeah, me either. But I remember them doing that. It was kind of neat.
absolutely.
Probably still do it.
Now here's one. If you remember this place, you're pretty good. I do, of course, because I was there for the grand opening of it,
Oh, really?
and it was called Roy Rogers Roast Beef Sandwiches.
That's right.
Now, that is at the corner of Valley and Riverside.
Is that where it was?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that was the very first restaurant there. It was built as a Roy Rogers Roast Beef Sandwiches, and it lasted there for a long time. No, I shouldn't say last time. It's probably maybe 5 or 6 years, and then it went out of.
Now we got to also probably preface it. Roy Rogers was pretty famous back in the day as a cowboy and on quite a few westerns and so forth, and that's how that chain came about. I don't think the guy that owned it was called Roy Rogers, but
No, I think he had a stake in it.
right, exactly.
Yeah, he didn't.
Maybe a horse in it or two, but
Yeah, well, maybe that horse stake in it. I don't know. Okay, moving on from Roy Rogers, which I just called Tender Greens today, by the way, or something. Is it called?
is that
Tender
what?
Greens?
Yeah, you're right.
I
But we have a list of what other things were over there.
yeah. Well, we'll get into that. So moving off from let's see here, we just left Roy Rogers. Now, here's a place that for a long time, if you into karaoke or I think they even did porn star karaoke and things like that, and that's Sardo's.
Sardo's. I have another one written down here. I kind of crossed that. Sardo's. Guess who was famous over there for porn star karaoke?
Yep.
Ron Jeremy. I'll never forget. I used to go
boy.
to the Vons.
He's in prison now, isn't he?
He's dying in prison.
Yeah.
Apparently he got dementia or whatever, and they found that they can't, he doesn't remember anything. And yeah. But I'll never forget one night I went to Vons, 301 North Pass, and the parking lot was packed. I mean, full. At 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, I'm going, that many people shopping at Vons? No, everybody said Ron Jeremy is over singing karaoke with all the other porn stars. Wednesday night porn star, whatever.
And you know what? The food there was terrible.
Yeah, my sister knew the owner, Sal. Not Sal. Forget the guy's name. He tried.
Yeah.
He really tried. And like I just read his memorial of the restaurant on some webpage, and he said, with the prices, you can't pay waitresses now, and the price of food, you got to bring something in, some shtick. And
Well, no, what you got to do is actually have good food there. People will actually go to the restaurant.
this is true.
I mean, it was crap. That's the bottom line. That's the reason it became good for karaoke.
Yeah.
I think the part we kind of you must have passed up there was Salerno's.
Salerno's.
Well, that's been a long time. You remember Salerno's, right?
On Riverside Drive, and I remember one day I walked by there and saw a cockroach in the window and said, I won't be eating there anymore.
That was Salerno's submarine sandwiches, though.
Right.
But that was originally before it was on. It was down closer. I want to say it was down closer near China Trader or in that area.
Yeah.
And then he moved down a little 2 or 3 blocks down.
Because he wanted that outdoor. They used to be a dry cleaner.
Yeah, I know. I think when they sold when China Trader got bought out, they wanted that whole block for development or something, and so he got thrown out with bathwater type thing, So, I think his name was Ernie. His name was Ernie. That was his name, and that's the place I actually used to go to all the time for a ham and cheese submarine sandwich all the time, and it was great. Now, thank goodness I never saw what you saw.
But it happens. It's a business. But Salerno's, then the names are so close. How about Sorrentino's?
Sorrentino's was
Known for fish too.
yes, that was right on the corner of Riverside and Pass.
What color was the building? It was green.
It was green.
I went to school with Gina Sorrentino. She was in my class.
Oh,
Her family owned it. She told me what days to go there and eat. But that was more of a classy place again.
yeah,
But Sorrentino's was right on the corner.
right down from the China Trader.
That's right.
And it was there for a long time, and then became
FedEx. Oh,
no, before FedEx, it was a Sony repair shop or
that's
something.
right. Yep.
And then became a FedEx or Kinko's.
Kinko's, that's right.
Kinko's.
They merged into a FedEx, and now there's going to be a 6-story building
Yeah,
going there.
6-story. Oh my God, it's going to be a monstrosity.
Yeah.
It does not fit the neighborhood. So more to come on that on the My Burbank side. Trust us.
Right. But now the next place, let's get back to a burger here.
Well, I'm not going to just say a burger. I'm going to say, and I think I got to go back one here
Oh,
to a double place here, and all I'm going to say is Malibu chicken.
chicken.
What does that tell you? Malibu chicken,
Oh, I guess
the Sizzler.
Sizzler. Sure.
Sizzler.
Sure.
And we had 2 Sizzlers in Burbank. We just lost the last one, maybe 3-4 years ago. It became
How many years ago?
is it more than 3 or 4?
Probably more like 10 now,
Ooh,
but
okay.
we did have one up there at Providence in
And Glen Oaks.
But again, fantastic salad bar.
Oh, the salad, probably the best salad bar by far.
And you remember we knew the manager one over here at Hollywood Way.
Yeah.
He was just great. But Malibu chicken, and the steaks weren't that great unless you had brand new set of dentures.
Yeah, the steak.
But all the other stuff,
Yeah,
and their clam chowder soup and their taco bar and just Sizzlers was, and they're still around. There's one up in, I know, La Cañada. We've lost it here in Burbank.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate.
I went one time to the Sizzler on Ventura Boulevard. It was down around, I don't know, somewhere between down Vineland or something, that area. And we went during, when I was coaching ball, and it was after a game, and we went to the Sizzler. And back then they had all-you-could-eat shrimp. They had the all-you-could-eat shrimp there. And so I said, I want the all-you-can-eat shrimp. And I started eating shrimp. Now, here's the secret when you did that. They would also give you like a baked potato. They'd give you some bread.
That's right.
And a steak and all
cheese
that.
bread.
Yeah. But the secret was you don't eat that stuff because
Right.
all that bread doesn't fill you up. So I started on those breaded shrimp, those little breaded shrimps.
How many later?
Well, okay, so I'm up, and they give you like 7 to 10 at a time. So I'm up to around 115.
Oh my God.
And I'm just, now it's become it's a challenge now. Now it's become I'm going to wear a badge of honor. So I get up to around 115 or whatever, and I said, sir, please, another round, please. He looked at me and says, no more, that's it. I said, sir, it says it's all you can eat, and I haven't eaten all I can. Exactly as I said. He looked at me and says, I can't do it anymore, I'm sorry. He refunded our entire meal to us and threw us out. So I got boy, I'll tell you what, I did not really eat shrimp for a while after that. That was a
learning experience.
all you can eat shrimp. Yeah, I remember, boy, that was they all did that. That was a thing for a while. And I think there were too many people like me out there who.
Well, you say that, and I not proud of it. Back in my young teen days, I did a food contest at Tommy's and ate 13 Tommy burgers.
Holy cow.
And talk about sick after that. But you know what? I'm not proud of that. Now I look back at those days and, I can do this. Watch this.
Yeah. Well, now I can barely get through anything. And, as big as I am, the dieting. The
good old shrimp
if you watch the hot dog eating contest.
Oh, yeah.
After that Joey Chestnut guy or whatever it is, he can eat, 50 or 60 or whatever they are. But you know what they don't show you afterwards? As soon as the time expires and they're done, all those guys turn to the side and they lose it.
Oh.
They all lose it right away. They don't keep that in their stomachs. So that's the part they don't show you. But there's a bucket next to every one of those guys, and Yikes.
Well, I thought it was pretty funny. If you are really into the Dodgers, they showed them when they went to Korea, and they had a wing eating contest with all the new guys and new coaches and all. And it was team building.
Yeah.
I think that one of the guys went through 125 wings and could have kept going. But I tell you, we really built team building for the Dodgers this last year.
Yep.
Well, moving along.
So, after the Scissors, here's a place that was originally built for this restaurant, and it was called Spoons.
Spoons.
It was on the corner of First Street and
Cypress,
right there. I'm not sure what it is now. It became a Hooters after.
I think it's empty currently.
Okay,
but it was a Hooters. Yeah,
but it was Spoons first, and we used to go there all. It was good food. It was kind of like an Islands,
right?
But the shakes there, and that's what it's kind of named. Spoons and spooning. You had to spoon your shake. You couldn't just use a straw, and the shakes were just phenomenal. Just phenomenal.
Yeah, it's just you think about. I guarantee everybody listening to this, you can name a place that their specialty was something, but like Spoons, you had to use that ice cold spoon to take out the rest, and what didn't make it through the straw, the old malt days, and all these places had things that you really wanted, and I bet you everybody listening to the show will think of the different restaurants we've mentioned. And it'll put that taste in their mouth. Hopefully good taste.
I was disappointed when I found out that I never knew what the difference between a shake and a malt was. I found out later.
When you shake like... Oh.
Yeah, well, they just throw some powder into it.
Just
some powder, that's it. And that's what makes it the malt taste. And it's like, really, that's all it is just some powder?
But also, back in the day, they used some real ice cream.
There's no malt ice cream.
Right.
But,
right.
Okay, let's move on from Spoons. Next comes, I think this is what you were talking about a second ago, is it's had many incarnations over the years, but for a long time it was called Steve's Charburgers.
They were pretty well known for that word charburger.
Right, and that was on the corner of
Brighton.
Victory and Brighton.
Right, that's right.
And it's been many things now since, and we need to come up with a list of all the things it's been too.
You're right, because Blazing Burgers were in there, they're gone. Now it's a Mexican restaurant with the guy and his wife are doing a great job. You know what's different about that location? It's got a drive-through. One of the last places. And this guy had to, I hear, to be able to get his business license that's in there currently, was he had to keep the previous name in the name of the restaurant. So it was grandfathered in. But he's also open till 10 o'clock at night for that drive-in.
I remember we went to Blazing Burgers one time to eat. And it was during a summer day, and it was
105 out.
105 outside, and so we were going to go inside to eat because it was 105 out, and the tables were in the sun. And the owner goes, "I go, we want to, no, we don't, no seat inside. That's just for our storage now." And it's like, really? So off we went. And
that's when it turned into it was something else. It's a Chinese or some other type of brand of food. It wasn't a burger place.
Oh, it was a burger place.
Was
yeah,
it?
But that's why I think they're out of business, because you can't expect people to sit out in the hot sun or just get food only to go.
Right.
You really can't. So,
moving along.
Let's see here. We have, next up on our list, we get into the teas.
Ooh.
And we go to Teresa's.
Now, how many people remember Teresa's? It was owned by Teresa,
yes.
I think. And it wasn't there too long, a couple years, but her homemade dressing and her pies, corner of Sparks, and Olive.
Which has now become a Starbucks.
I never forget, I had a good friend, Glenn Duke, who passed away, former fireman. He owned that house right behind it, and he knew Teresa pretty well. And I remember I'd go to his house, and Teresa would give him this and that, and pies, and pretty nice. She moved into Glendale. She closed the Burbank place when Starbucks offered to take it over.
Right.
And she opened one in Glendale, and I don't think
we went there occasionally, but it never very crowded inside,
nope.
and it just didn't seem like it was a priority.
But the food was very good.
Food was good. The next one, I keep trying to remember. The name is so familiar, but I can't remember the place at all. And that was called the Three Horsemen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Three Horsemen. Think about it. Three Horsemen. Pickwick,
Three Horsemen.
Reman.
That's right.
Across from
That's
the
right.
arenas where we used to have riding rings.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was part of Pickwick Bowl.
Right, because I always went. See, I don't remember it that well because I always went into Pickwick Bowl, but I always went through the back door.
See?
So I don't remember. And I just knew that there was a bar entrance there where you could get food.
Yep.
But I didn't really ever see a name.
And I remember the counter. The Three Horsemen had a counter, and when you bowled, you got food from there. But I remember going to that restaurant. It had good food, fish and chips, like stuff like that. It was very good.
I think it closed down for the last couple of years. The Pickwick was still a bowling alley, but there was no restaurant anymore.
But now for our longtime Burbank followers, will remember, the Three Horsemen.
Yeah, and now as soon as you give me this place, I remember that. The name was familiar to me. I kept looking at the name and saying, I know that place.
I think I have a picture, and I'll have to look. Before they tore the Pickwick down, the Three Horsemen were still up on the building. There were 3 horses, and under it said Three Horsemen in restaurant. Yeah.
Somebody sent us a video the other day of them knocking down the Pickwick sign. And it's like, too bad they couldn't have saved that somehow. And, the guy in the valley who saves signs.
Valley Relics.
Yeah, too bad they didn't save that sign. But I guess they can't save every sign. Moving along. Another This time it's the dip.
The dip. You talk to any police officer, any motor, the dip was famous. It's 5 points. Their coffee.
Yep.
The dip was just.
And 5 points being Burbank.
That's right.
Victory.
Lake.
Yeah. And
dip.
And because Victory went 2 different directions
in Burbank,
and Burbank went all over. It was what a mess there. In fact, as we know, any time there was an accident or something there, it always would take 2 police officers to direct traffic in that intersection because it was just so complicated.
I'll never forget when the power lines fell on a car at that intersection. Traffic was screwed up in the whole San Fernando Valley because when you shut that intersection down, there was nobody moving. It screwed up. You couldn't get off the freeway. You couldn't go east. You couldn't go west. You couldn't go north. You couldn't go south. You were screwed. And I'll never forget watching that line that had fallen on a vehicle. And they couldn't do anything until they de-energized everything.
Right. And now the dip is the Costco gas station.
But there was a restaurant in the dip, and I remember it was a drive-through. It was a burrito place. And I got to look because I just found the picture of a car that launched out of it. I'll look at tonight, and I will put it on our list of other places.
Okay, yes, please do. And send me that picture for our next show, too.
I will.
The dip.
Along with a picture of you directing traffic.
Yeah. There we go. Next up, here's a favorite of many people for a long time. And the pizza was great there. The Italian food was great. Tony's Bella Vista.
Oh. That was one of Ron Howard's and Rance Howard's favorite places. He talked about going in there all the time. I happen to know some of the family that owned it, and yeah, Tony's Bella Vista was probably one of the top pizzas in Burbank.
Oh yeah, one of the top Italian restaurants.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they.
Well, it was a land family issue between who's owning this and who's that. And the funny thing is, I had some leg surgery a couple years ago, and the one of the family members made me Italian food while I was convalescing. I thought if I closed my eyes, I'd think I was eating at Tony's Bella Vista. It was that good. And my good friend Christina Spratt, who helps us out quite a bit, she's in that family. And boy, a great group of Italians that know how to cook.
So I'm not sure. I know, and right now they're resizing that whole block up into smaller places, right?
The pizza place is open. Pizza place is open. I'm just told that
and we need another pizza place in Burbank.
Well, there's now three over that neighborhood, but Bagel Boss is opening. The stuff came off the window yesterday. I was told they were just waiting for a permit or two. We're going to see them the next couple of weeks with a nice patio. And the cupcake place that was up 2 blocks, other side of UME Credit Union, she downsized and she's moved over there.
Oh, okay.
So there's 3 new restaurants right next to each other.
Just hope there's parking.
Lots of street parking over there.
Moving on to I think it was only here for maybe 5 or 6 years at the most. Called Umami's.
How did you say that?
Yeah, Umami's.
Yeah,
That was over. That took over for Papu's Hot Dog Show.
that's right.
So they became Umami's. A high-end burger. Good burger, but high end. I didn't like the fact that when they first opened, if you wanted to drink, they would sell you like a bottle of Coke or something that was 8 ounces or something for $3, and 1 8-ounce bottle ain't gonna do much for you. So by the time you're spending $15 on 3 or 4 Cokes just to get the usual amount of drink.
That was just to wash the taste down.
Yeah, but it was good. They had dipping trays and everything else. The food was good. The burger was good. My understanding was the guy who owned it, they bought a lot of locations at once. And they just couldn't sustain them all. And my understanding is that it came down to he walked away. He just closed the doors one day, gave the keys to the landlord, and said, I'm out of here.
Wow.
So there you go. And I mean, all that remodeling, everything else.
Yeah, wasn't it a sports celebrity or some celebrity that...
I don't think so, but he just walked away.
Wow. It's amazing.
So, let's see here. Moving on. Oh, okay. Now here's one that only our really, really older listeners are going to remember, but it was infamous. It was one of the great places back in the 50s and 60s.
You could see it a block away.
Yes, and it was called Vandy Camps.
Oh.
Corner of Victory and Olive.
With their big windmill or big... what was
It was a big windmill, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember it used to move and rotate around the building.
Yes.
Blue. I could picture it like it was there tomorrow or yesterday. It was blue.
Right.
The neon lighting on the edge of the windmill, and the waitresses wore little
Scandinavian type things, and I think it was there's another one that lasted. I think it was in Glendale near Los Feliz, I think, for a long time.
I can visualize it. Yep.
But the one in Burbank, that it didn't make it.
Had a lot of there, and we will touch on other restaurants. There were several. That was a pretty famous intersection for restaurants.
Yes, it was.
Still is.
Still is. Well, next is another one of our dearly departed delis, Victor's Deli. And I know how you feel about delis.
Victor's Deli was, you come in off that alley off the back next to the lock shop.
Tell us where it was.
Hollywood Way in Magnolia. And I remember the owner of Victor's Deli. He used to own a place up on Magnolia called Shuggies. And it was Shuggies. And it burnt down. And it was all of one storefront, but it was a great little deli. Well, when he didn't want to rebuild there, he bought the deli there, and it changed the name to Victor's. Again, do you remember what we used to get in the middle of the night on his pie run? Good old Martino
pies,
cupcakes, tea cakes,
and the pies.
Ron Sagnellian.
Ronnie.
That's
right. Ronnie the pie guy.
Ronnie was the pie guy, and he had
$5.
And he'd have the Martinos run. He'd go from Coral Cafe to a couple places on Magnolia to Victor's Deli.
Yep.
We would wait there. 1:32 in the morning. They were still hot. He'd sell us a dozen for $5.
Yep.
And then from there, he went right down to the studio, to the commissary at Warner Brothers, to fill them up with pies.
And then over to the hot dog show and over to Bob's. Martino's had a lock on this city when it came to every day getting fresh pies and foods and everything else.
But good old Victor's Deli, again, they were known for their coffee, their morning breakfast. They had the counter. Mm-hmm. You sit there, and all the traffic would race down Hollywood Way. And unfortunately, it burned down.
Interesting.
Yes.
What happened to this other place?
Oh, we won't talk about that.
This other place burned down too,
Yeah,
right?
it did.
Yeah, well.
But then at sometime in there, Yonins
Yes.
occupied the building. I remember that. But when Victor's Deli, I'll never forget, I went skydiving a week before, jumped out of a perfectly good airplane, out of a bad parachute, and I rode it down and I broke my leg. And I remember shooting pictures of that fire. We had Fire Chief Mike Davis there, Kurt Reynolds there, and I shot a picture of them with the fire going up. And my doctor said, You go to any more fires with a leg cast on, I'm going to put you in a cast up to your hip. But I got pictures of that fire. I still have them. That was a major intersection.
Send us the pictures we have for.
Oh, I will. I'll come up with that. That was one of my old famous shots. But it also burnt down Dennis Lights, the closed store next door. When it burnt down, it got into the attic, and it spread into the business next door.
Oh, that was, and now it became a Rite Aid, which is now become an empty building.
Yep.
Well, there's a piece of property right there, which, and I'm not sure who can go in there, because when they built that Rite Aid, there's a lot of controversy because they put a building with no windows.
That's right.
So
somebody told me that there is a market chain looking for that size store over in that neighborhood, but I don't want to. We'll see.
But they gotta then put windows in. That's gonna be expensive.
There's also not a huge parking lot for the size square footage of that store.
Well, but if you take that side parking lot where they had the drive-through for
Right.
which never worked, by the way. Then there's
That was your drugstore, wasn't it?
That was my drugstore. I remember I went there during the. I actually picked that drugstore because during the pandemic you couldn't go in places. I go, okay, I'm going to pick that place so I can go there and drive in and get the whooshy dooshy through the machine.
What was those called? Those machines?
The vacuum machines. Yeah. And I get there and I was sitting there for maybe Dodger and I got in the car and I was sitting there probably 10 minutes in that place going. I tried to hit button. So I finally called them. I said, hey, I'm sitting out here. They go, oh, yeah, that hasn't worked for years. I go, well, how about a sign or something? How about letting people know that? So
that's kind of like my.
So now I'm at the CVS over by Verdugo and
1821.
And they have a drive up and there's no vacuums needed.
Well, they do have vacuum too on the other side.
Oh, okay.
You just go to the window, but they don't use it.
They don't use the vacuum at all? Okay. Well, I don't really test the vacuum.
Your story about that, drugstore was kind of like my story of Eaton Park.
Eden Park. If you watch our last video, you actually would see a picture of Eden Park there.
And if you come up to me in public and then start laughing at me about Eden Park, we're going to go eat there.
There we go.
Stories of the places that we have in Burbank is just like Rite Aid. Wow. But what was before was a Rite Aid, wasn't it a Thrifties?
No, I think the Thrifties was across the street where Porto's was.
No, they were up at Magnolia, California, Thrifties. But I thought, because I remember Rite Aid had an ice cream counter.
No.
With the weird dip thing that they made their cone out of.
Now, they had one, okay, the pet place over on Olive.
Oh, next to Tom McCann's.
What was the name of that? That was a place that had the ice cream.
That was the Thrifties.
That was the Thrifties.
Right.
Okay, so that's the place I'm thinking. The Thrifty ice cream was always.
Oh, okay. I thought Rite Aid had.
No, I don't think Rite Aid ever had ice cream.
See, I could be wrong, folks.
I am an ice cream connoisseur, of course. I mean, look at me. Of course, I love ice cream.
But I remember at Thrifties they had the ice cream instead of a scooper, it was built round. And it would go into the cones weird.
Yes.
And if you got a 3-decker ice cream, instead of 3 round balls, it was 3 weird. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was good ice cream.
Now, folks, if you remember what I just brought up, that ice cream scooper, you probably have an old can opener in the drawer in your kitchen.
Okay. Let's Next up is a dearly departed Mexican restaurant that was there for a long time.
Yeah, it was.
And it's called Viva's.
Viva's Cantina, and it was there it was
right across from the Pickwick.
And next to the Equestrian Center, which was not in Burbank per Craig.
Yeah, well,
the front gate is.
The front gate's in Burbank, and after that, you're in L.A.
But I remember, I
kind of like Lakeside Golf Course. You drive in the gates, and now you're in L.A.
You're in L.A. But Viva's Cantina, tons of people in the Rancho area. They were regulars there. The bar was loose and wet, and they poured heavy, and different bands were in there all the time. And now they moved on. For a long time, it was closed, and then it got bought, and now it's another restaurant that has been. I hear it's changed some operations and changing things. So, but Viva's Cantina.
Viva's Cantina, absolutely. Here's one for you now. I'm not sure if they had food there now, right? Which would our next one, but I know that it was a rowdy place. It was a place that the police went to often, and not because they were there to get a drink. It was because they went there to arrest people, and that was called the Whiskey Bend.
The Whiskey Bend. In fact,
They had food there, right?
yep. And the last I heard the Whiskey Bend
and Whiskey Bend is where?
up at Bethany in Gleno and San Fernando.
Yep.
If you drive by there now, you couldn't tell it was the Whiskey Bend. They have, I know the people that own it, the Augustines own that. That used to be a restaurant and a bar, and they have rebuilt the whole place. It's now an office building. But knew the bartender there, Glenn Sorkness's daughter, was a bartender there for many years at the Whiskey Bend. And you're right, Burbank PD, they were out there many, many a times.
Yep.
It was what they called a biker bar here.
It was a biker bar, yes. Absolutely.
Nothing against bikers. I owned one.
It doesn't against bars. But bikers and bars together? Ugh.
Oh, yeah. Burbank PD used to go out there, and they were prepared.
Yeah, think of Sons of Anarchy in Burbank style. I think that takes us to our last one, and that we talked about it briefly, and that was Yonan's.
Yonan's.
And that, of course, that was there before Victor's Deli.
Yep, and they were known for their coffee.
Yep.
And people would leave there with their coffee cups because it had Yonan's on the front.
Right.
But again, when you went to Yonan's, you got that great Martino's, either pie or a tea cake, and made your coffee. You didn't care how the coffee tastes.
No. No. But I think the great thing about it it had great traffic because it was always on the way to the airport.
That's right. That's why Hollywood Way is a great. Now you can't get in and out of that parking lot. But we did skip over one that you and I had a question about, and we tried to look it up. Yankee Peddler.
Yeah, I didn't bring it up because we couldn't find it.
Well, I'm going to do some research on it because I do remember burning down. That was back in the late 70s, early 80s. Okay. And over here on Riverside Drive, and I remember shooting pictures of it. Firemen going in the front door and it burning down, and we lost that restaurant. Yankee Peddler.
I remember. I've heard the name Yankee Peddler, but when I looked it up, I couldn't find any mention about Yankee Peddler ever being in Burbank.
So, folks, take and help me out here. Give me your stories of the Yankee Peddler and where it was, and if you remember when we lost it.
Yes. Well, if you were actually out there shooting pictures, you should have those pictures somewhere.
You know what? I just this week uncovered some pictures, black and whites, from the 70s that I shot. I mean, I can't believe some of the things that I covered back, way back then. And thank goodness, I don't have a darkroom anymore, and I can't look through a loop anymore.
I don't have a darkroom anymore, you mean?
Yeah, you're right. The darkroom that I used for years is in Craig's backyard. Now it's a gymnasium, I think, or something. But I remember spending many nights out there. I remember going to calls in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. I'd go into the darkroom in Craig's backyard, and I'd deliver pictures of the paper. But these old pictures that I got firemen didn't wear turnout coats. Firemen didn't wear breathing apparatuses. You look at some of these firemen how it's all changed. But I've covered things in this city, and one of them was...
Well, that's back in the day when firemen actually just got on the back of the fire engine and held on. There was no cab for them to sit in.
That's right.
They just held on to the back of the thing and...
Got on the tailboard. And
right. And when you went over a bump, they'd go bumping up into the air.
I talked to many guys that there were train tracks at Olive and Lake, and they'd end up on the hose bed because the engineer knew when to hit that train track, and you'd lose it. But then the firemen were getting hurt and killed because they didn't put the strap on.
Yeah.
But that's back in the day. I mean, I found a picture of the old Rescue 5. I mean, back in the late 70s, what Burbank Fire has changed to. But the concept is all the same. Put the wet stuff on the red stuff, and the fire will go out.
Or so they say.
That's what they say.
Well, I think we got through it. Well, I should say we got through the second half of our original list.
Can you believe, Craig, I went through after I looked at our original list, and I came up with double the amount that we don't have written down here in Burbank.
That's why we have different parts.
That's right.
To the series, and so we have at least now a part 3 coming up of the restaurants we missed, and that might even be a 2-parter depending how many restaurants have been missed, and also how many emails we get from you guys and comments in the comment sections on the YouTube. We would love to hear your experiences, your restaurants, the ones we forgot, especially your stories.
I bet you that we have some still people living here in Burbank that when they were after high school served as a waitress at some of these restaurants and some of these places that it was their first job. Nowadays, you get out of high school, you're not going to waitress, but it's still a good job. But
but I'm going to start paying them about $20 an hour now. So
as of, what was it, the first?
Yeah. So
restaurant wages have changed. And I'm sorry to say that I'm afraid we're going to see some more restaurants added to this list after this this quarter of this year. Restaurant owners can't afford to be in the business.
I don't know if we can keep up with our shows with the amount of restaurants continuing to close, because it's ever changing, and they say that's one of the hardest businesses to be in. I would love to own a restaurant.
I just read a quote. I will quote Gary Brick. Somebody just wrote about a restaurant, and he said, "If you don't own the dirt, you're working for somebody."
Yes.
And he has said that many years. He owned the dirt.
That's just like renting an apartment or renting a house. You're paying somebody else's mortgage for somebody else.
Yep. And the markup in restaurants, unless you own the dirt.
I watch these shows all the time. The Gordon Ramsay shows, the Kitchen Nightmares, and the Irvin shows. The ones he does, I can't remember what Restaurant Impossible, and they talk about how hard it is in the business, and here's the thing that you don't consider. We have our favorite places, and you go in, and you always know the person, especially when the owner's there. If we go to Larry's,
That's right.
we always know who's going to be working.
Yep.
He's always going to be there. But that's the problem, though. If you own a restaurant and you want to be open any sort of time, you're going to be there 15 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week. And that's the only way you can actually make a profit. But what's the price you pay for that over a decade?
Well, my brother who owned restaurants here in California and in Hawaii, the hardest part people don't realize, you don't go on vacation, because when you go on vacation and you have a manager call you and tell you the blender stopped or something's not working or whatever, somebody didn't deliver us something, you're working 24 hours a day for your life. And I'll tell you, if for a restaurant owner, you got to give them a lot of credit unless they have some good management working for them. I know some restaurants here in Burbank that do. And
then you have to have good employees, because all of a sudden the waitress says, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I'll just give it to you for free. I'll just give it." Every time you say I'll give it for free, 66% of that price came out of that owner's pocket.
Well, that, and I have a friend that owns a couple of Mexican restaurants here in North Hollywood, and we put cameras in, and he learned. One employee said, "Oh, we don't have that today," and he would go back and ask that employee, "What's this right here in the freezer?" "Well, I just didn't want to make it today." That person goes and tells 5 other people that I don't want to go there anymore. So when you criticize a restaurant for not having something or something, take that all in, with a grain of salt.
Well, there's a lot of good restaurants out there now. But
there are.
We've lost a lot of great restaurants over the years and favorites. So once again, if you got one we missed, or you want to share something about one we talked about and have your own story, send it to us. Put it in the comments section, send it to us, and we'll bring it. But we will have another part coming up of the restaurants we missed.
And I guarantee that is the reason this show is called Down the Rabbit Hole, because that hole can be dug and dug and dug. Thanks for watching.
Thank you much. And we will see you on part 3.
There you go.